Hello and welcome to another episode of Ask a Grimm. Yeah, initially I was planning to get the next review out, but things changed because I was supposed to do the Twilight Princess thing, and then I scrapped it because the game fucking sucked and just killed all my interest. However, it will show up again in a future video, that's all I'll say. I have the script for that done, so you'll see what happens in due time, and that is a promise. Anyways, we got a bunch of questions here, so let's get started. Darth the Death Killer 09 asks, have you watched Duchess Celestia's PayPal is stealing from artist speedpaint/commentary? At the time, no I haven't. But I have now, and yikes. Sister Babob 0 asks, have you watched Winx Club? And do you have any Legos? I saw a bit of Winx Club when I was younger, wasn't really my thing. And as for Legos, used to have Legos, don't have it anymore though. GeorgeLPO asks, any thoughts on Some Ordinary Gamers? Mudahar can make some good points every now and again. However, much like me with Twitter, he could be a fucking imbecile on Twitter at points. Especially with the dumbest fucking takes. Don't even get me started on his take regarding Andrew Tate, because he was basically saying, oh, well, getting rid of him is not going to do anything. And it's like, it's gonna prevent him from spreading his shit on that platform. It's like, bruh. So yeah, sometimes Mudahar can be smart, but other times, like on Twitter, he's a fucking imbecile. Fangirl Poison Ivy Girl fan asks, have you played any of the Pac-Man games? Of course, I played the original Pac-Man. I had a little cart on the GBA that had like 4 Pac-Man games on it. I don't know what it is at the moment, but I played those games. Pac-Man Worlds, to an extent. I think I played the GBA one for like 5 minutes. Haven't touched the remake of it, by the way. I'm more so of a Pac-Man World 2 person, which that's another game I played. Outside of that, I think that's about it off the top of my head. I think I played Ms. Pac-Man for like 5 minutes, and then I kind of forgot about it, but that was when I was younger, so yeah. But yes, I have played it. Apologies if I mess up this pronunciation. Elenh Karakiou asks, have you watched Kinnikuman Nisei or Ultimate Muscle? Yes, I used to watch it a bunch as a kid. It was a thing? Like, I haven't seen it in years though, so I don't know if it's any good nowadays? But yes, I did watch it back in the day. Xans Priness asks, which character of Kingdom Hearts is the weakest on fighting, and are you aware of what YouTube did to Markiplier? In terms of weakest on fighting, that would be Kairi, but that's not necessarily her fault since she's just starting to be a Keyblade wielder. But by default, yes, I would say Kairi. And as for what YouTube did to Markiplier, oh yeah. Yeah, YouTube treated Markiplier like fucking shit, and it's fucking stupid. Flat out fucking stupid. But I think that got resolved since then, so that's a relief. Princess Fan Lady 2000 asks, any thoughts on Dark Souls? I loved the hell out of the first game. Not so much a fan of 2, and I haven't touched 3. But yeah, I like Dark Souls. Sexy Foxy Lady Commando number 123 asks, any thoughts on Suzy Liu? I mostly remember them for what they did in the past with reacting to anime and being a toxic little shit. So fuck them. I don't know what they're up to nowadays, though, so back then, though, yeah, fuck them. Master Wolf Gan Jik asks, have you watched Smiling Friends? No, unfortunately, I haven't seen it. ANGRYCOWBOY asks, any thoughts on Geeks and Gamers? Isn't that one of those grifter/outrage channels? I think I know what you're referring to, and, if it is, then, hate. Okay, I just took a look at it, and yeah, this fucking channel just pisses me off. It's just fucking garbage. Dark Goofy from WW2 asks, any thoughts on Geekdom 101 and favorite attorney moments? I think Geekdom 101 is fine. As for favorite Ace Attorney moments, the parrot moment, stuff like Edgeworth being a fan of the Steel Samurai, probably Godot's reveal at the end of the third game. There was a lot of really good moments from Ace Attorney 5, too, now that I think about it. BlaCkNuurseVVitchUi, again, sorry if I mispronounced that, asks, what do you think of Digimon Frontier, and any thoughts on Queen Elizabeth II? Digimon Frontier, I think was fine. I liked it growing up, but didn't really stick out of my memory nowadays, and I haven't seen it in modern day, so I don't know if it's aged well or not. As for Queen Elizabeth II, I was surprised that she passed. I thought, like Betty White, she was gonna remain alive forever or whatever. But, it was a surprise. I'll say that. Robotototodo asks, again, sorry if I mispronounced that, Which character from Persona franchise is the weakest fighter and why? And have you ever heard of the music band Killswitch Engage? Okay, so weakest fighter, I'm gonna go with the main cast here just because there's hundreds of them and a lot of easy options from those. So I'm gonna stick with the main cast. Honestly, I think his name was Ken. I would say he's the weakest by default, and that's largely just because he's a kid. I think in Persona 4 Ultimax he got better, but in terms of strength. But as it stands, I would have to answer with Ken just by default, because he's a kid. I don't think there's really any other options outside of the minor characters. As for Killswitch Engage, I've heard of them, never really listened to their music though, but in the future I will. Mega Harley Quinn fangirl asks, what was the weirdest glitch you saw in a video game?
Real cat, no.
I don't think that was supposed to happen.
They're doing their version of the cha-cha slide, that's what they're doing. To the left!
Take it back now, y'all.
One robot drop. Two robots drop.
Come forth, beta.
It crashed the game.
Crash the game! Crash the game!
Fan-Boi X Jr asks, have you watched Moral Oral? Are you excited for Sonic Frontiers? Have you watched the Hello Kitty anime? And any thoughts on Amaranth? I've heard of Moral Oral, but I haven't watched it, as shown with me probably butchering the title. I'm interested to see what Sonic Frontiers is going to be like. I can't say I'm excited just because whenever I do that, it just lets me the fuck down. So I'm not going to risk that again. I think I've seen a couple bits of it when I was younger. Either that or it was a cartoon. Let me double check, actually.
What are you doing to America?
Making a homemade pizza!
Okay, so I just looked it up, and I think the show I was referring to might have been something like Hello Kitty's Paradise or whatever, and that's only because Saban adapted the 3rd season shorts into a TV series. If it was anything else, then I have no fucking idea, and by that I mean I probably haven't seen it outside of that. And Amaranth, meh, I guess. Nico Safer1 asks, what were your favorite moments from the 2000s? I'm gonna stick to media for this just because I don't want to get too personal. I guess some of the best moments was when anime was more mainstream on TV. Nowadays, it's a weird situation just because like it doesn't really air much on TV nowadays. But then again, how many people are watching TV outside of the older generation? I would probably just say anime being more mainstream by comparison and having more influence in Western animation. But that's about it. Comment Homer Simpson asks, whatever happened to YouTube Dude 2? Were you dragged into dramas that you didn't want to be in at all? What do you think of Doodle Tones' old commentaries, and any thoughts on Nicholas E. Miranda? Also, worst commentary intro. Okay, good questions. YouTube Dude 2, I believe, did one final video addressing the community and then he left. I have no fucking idea what they're up to nowadays, though. Was I dragged into dramas? Kind of, at points. A couple of private ones I was, but again, that's private situations, so I can't really comment much on that. Outside of that, it's usually me who gets involved in dramas, / getting myself involved, so I wasn't really drugged into dramas outside of the ones I mentioned that were private. I'm not a fan of a lot of Doodle Tones' old commentaries, but that's a very, very cold take, since I'm sure many people would agree that a lot of her older works just aren't that good. Like, if we're talking, 2016, 2017? Not a fan of Nicholas E. Miranda, although maybe they've changed since then. I haven't seen them in years. And worst commentary intro, I'd say the most frustrating is Kainu before they transitioned to Nekokoda. They did a video on Alex Jones. I think I still have the intro somewhere. It was just so bad that I ended up just remaking it myself. I don't know if I can play it on here just because copyrighted music, but I would probably answer with Nekokoda's video on Alex Jones. CaptainSmartiyePants asks, have you watched Cyborg 009, and have you played any of the Far Cry games? I haven't seen Cyborg 009, that's another series I have on my watch list for the future. And as for Far Cry, I think I have Far Cry 4 on my PC. I just haven't touched it. But outside of that, no, I haven't played it. I want to get into it though at some point. MarvelSquirrelBoyFan asks, have you listened to any songs from Linkin Park, and have you heard of the Warner Brothers Discovery shenanigans? I have listened to many songs from Linkin Park in the past, particularly their older works. I thought those were pretty good. And as for the Warner Brothers Discovery shenanigans, oh yeah, I've heard. I've very much heard, and not too happy with how Warner Brothers is handling their shit. Yet another reason why you should probably go indie for your animations. Atreas licok asks, again, sorry for the butchering, have you played any of the Frogger games, and have you watched the Soviet version of Treasure Island from the 80s? I played the classic Frogger, but that's about it. And as for the Soviet version of Treasure Island, no, I haven't. I imagine it's interesting, though. The Sleepy Commentator asks, whatever happened to Megatron DBZ TV? Any thoughts on the Sonic Shadow channel? What do you think of one-shot commentaries? What are the differences between commentaries and responses? And what avatars do you like to use in your videos? Megatron, I don't actually know. I think they might have fucked off from the community, just like with YouTube Dude. But that's a story I don't have much knowledge about, unfortunately. Sonic Shadow, not a big fan. One-shots, I liked back then, but nowadays I'm not much of a fan, but they're harmless at the end of the day if someone does it. Like, I got the intent. It's a case of, I don't want to leave a comment, I'm just gonna make this quick video and get it the fuck out. So, I think it's harmless. Differences between commentaries and response videos, honestly, there really isn't one. It's like semantic outside of the title. And as for avatars, outside of using my OCs, I'll occasionally use Serena the Pokemon, but that's just because I can be a sassy little shit at points, and Serena's a sassy little shit at points as well. And that's really about it. Commando Big Lady Officer asks, which Ace Attorney character do you think didn't get much attention, and have you played Undertale? Honestly, I don't think there's any Ace Attorney characters that hasn't gotten much attention. Like, somewhere on the internet, there's probably a fandom for that particular character, largely because Ace Attorney writes a lot of the characters really fucking well. Even for a lot of the villains, there's a decent fan base / popularity for them. So I can't really answer that question legitimately, since there's a lot of fan favorites, even some of the lesser known characters. As for Undertale, yes, played Neutral Route, Pacifist, and Genocide Route. Pretty good game. Interested to see what Deltarune's going to bring to the table. Omega Surfer Fanboy 2000 asks, any thoughts on Pokemon? Have you heard of Squizzy Hyojin's allegations and favorite Super Mario Odyssey moments? Not a big fan of Pokemon. I have not heard of the Hyojin allegations, but I imagine it's not any good or it's a mess. And Super Mario Odyssey moments, honestly, I did like the New York sections, minus the boss. Again, apologies if I butchered this next name. Kourtoullopoullos asks, do you plan to watch the She-Hulk series, and have you played Medieval? I'm not really interested in watching She-Hulk, but that's more so because I'm not really into watching the MCU. So, it's more so to do with that. That fucking She-Hulk twerking thing, though, that was fucking stupid. That goddamn controversy, I mean. Medieval, I've heard interesting things about it. I might play it for the Twitch channel for Halloween, but as of this moment, no, I have not played it. In the future, though. Girl AHJ asks, any thoughts on Lonely Goomba? Have you watched Shaman King? And have you listened to any Bon Jovi songs? Yes, I used to watch Lonely Goomba. Nowadays, they're a fucking brick, and I do not watch their content. Used to watch Shaman King back in the day when it was dubbed by 4Kids. Not sure what the new series is like, because I haven't seen it. And I thought the old one was fine from when I was a kid. As for Bon Jovi, absolutely. Living on a Prayer, It's My Life. But yeah, I like Bon Jovi, and I've listened to them. CaptainFlamingoFan asks, how would you rate all the Persona games from best to worst? Any thoughts on Some Call Me Johnny? Do you think that the Shadow the Hedgehog game could have been good? From best to worst, I'm going by the trilogy here, by the way. Honestly, I would say Persona 4 at the top, Persona 5 second, and then at the bottom is Persona 3. I just think that Persona 4 just does so many things right. I like Some Call Me Johnny, though. Good content, pretty good guy. I like him. And do I think the Shadow game could have been good? Yeah, I do think it could have been good. I think if it had tighter polish, and also some better control of the mission, I think it could have worked just fine. But as it stands, it just felt like a game that was rushed to market, which is very much unfortunate. But yes, I do think it could have been good. Crusoe Jr T asks, do you plan to watch The Rings of Power, and have you heard the rumors of Chris Chan escaping from prison? I do not plan on watching The Rings of Power, largely because I haven't even seen the original Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit movies. So, there's another thing on my backlog for later. I've heard bad things, though, about Rings of Power, so that's debatable if I watch that. I did hear the rumors of Christian escaping from prison, though. Kind of surprising that people can somehow fuck up that. JF asks, have you ever wanted to get into live-action tokusatsu shows such as Kamen Rider, Ultraman, etc.? Number 2, since you mentioned Gundam Seeds, what are your thoughts on the HD remaster re-release of the series as well as this new English dub? What's your favorite anime of all time, and what do you think makes a good crossover story work? I've wanted to get into live-action tokusatsu, especially with Super Sentai, though I have seen Dragonite, Kamen Rider Dragonite. That was pretty good. I think for me it's just a case of finding the time to do so. Like, fuck's sake, I promised on my Twitter I'd get to Australian Survivor, and I still haven't done that yet. I think it's just largely because I've been busy with so many other things and or trying to get through my backlog or so many other things, it kind of falls by the wayside. But yes, I absolutely want to get into it in the future. It looks really good. My thoughts on the HD remaster, it's nice that we have a better dub. It really is. I'm not much of a fan of Gundam Seed though, which is unfortunate. But it's a better dub at least. Favorite anime of all time? Yeah, I would say Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Really good stuff. What do you think makes a good crossover story work? I think it's basically comes down to the story understanding the universes of both series, managing to make the interactions work and work incredibly well, have them in character, and have the story make sense. Basically, just make a good story. I'd say that. It may sound like a simple concept, but as we've seen many times over the years, not everyone can do it right. Kill9000Jin567 asks, have you seen Metabots? What are your favorite game mechanics from Ace Attorney, and what do you think of Black Frieza? Metabots, I liked as a kid, not sure what I think of it now. Favorite game mechanics from Ace Attorney? Honestly, I just like the basic trial sections where you're presenting evidence and stuff. I wasn't really much of a fan of the Magatama stuff in the later games. I think it just overcomplicated it, but I get why it was included. And as for Black Form Frieza, nice change. At least there's a reason to keep Frieza in the story nowadays. And ASD asks, if someone starts the Persona series, which one should start from either story or gameplay perspective? In that case, we'll start with story. From a story perspective, 5 has the strongest of the stories, with 4 being a close second. And as for gameplay perspective, I can't answer 4 in legitimate honesty, because if I did, I have to put Persona 3 next to it, because Persona 4 is just a better ROM hack of Persona 3. I'm honestly going to go with Persona 5 as well. I think Persona 5 just manages to do a really good job blending the action and the story together in a lovely homogeneous mixture. I probably messed up that science term, but let me just double check actually.
Dr. Pig might have D's. Loves fucking shit on kids. Go back to medical school, pig dick. I don't eat cereal. Sit on your own balls. No!
And then he did.
Oh, okay. Homogeneous mixture, components that make up the mixture uniformly distributed. Okay, so I got that right. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I just think that from a story and gameplay perspective, Persona 5 manages to combine both elements into a wonderful homogeneous mixture. And the final question is from SSJSora. Have you noticed that Sora has a similar hair design to Chris from Sonic X? I did notice that. I think it largely just boils down to, it was a thing in the 2000s. Let's just use that. We're trying to be hip with the kids. But yeah, I did notice that. It's kind of interesting. Oh no, is Sora from Kingdom Hearts 5 gonna basically be like Chris Thorndike, where he's a scientist and shit? Okay, no, that's probably going way too far. Although, going way too far would probably be what Sonic Omens did to Chris Thorndike. Whew! And on that note, thank you all very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. The next video should be the review, which you'll find out what that is in due time. And yeah, if you have any questions for the next installment of Ask Grimm, leave them in the comments below. And with all that said, I'm David Grimm, and thank you all very much for watching. Since episode 7 of Ask Grimm, I have played through Kingdom Hearts 3 to completion, and now that's been taken care of, I can answer Master Wolf Gan Jik's question properly. They had asked in episode 7, what did you like and didn't like in Kingdom Hearts 3? What I liked was the gameplay. It was a massive step up in comparison to 2. My only dislike at this point was probably the story just being a little bit fucking stupid, but I mean, Kingdom Hearts can have its fair share of stupid moments at points, and it doesn't make the story complicated, it just makes it a little bit silly, which doesn't mean bad, so that should probably tell you what I think of this game. It's so good that the only flaw I had with it is that the story's just a little bit silly. So, yeah, Kingdom Hearts 3. Really good stuff. And now I can answer that question properly.